forward this. Okay, well, before I was going to go ahead and go into Unit 5 and talk about some of the things that we didn't the other day and also do some of the MindTap problems. But first, I'll let you guys, if y'all have any questions. Does anybody have any questions? No?
There's a assignment due today that says it's locked.
Oh, well, that's a problem. Which one?
Let me see.
I think there's only one due today. That's that loops while 4 and the Unit 5 test. Are those the two that you're talking about?
The list function.
List function.
List function.
I don't see another one that says it's due the 13th. Oh, down here. Oh, that's module 4. That's a mistake. That should not, that's not until module 4. So I don't know why that's saying that. Let me go in and fix that. One I missed. You can do it though if you want. But that's not, because that does have list. That's talking about arrays, I believe. So we don't want to do that one yet, but I'll put, at least it's going to be down to there, I believe, is when that one will be due. Yeah, is there another one that said the 20th? Because that's an error if it is. Let me go here. Yeah, this one is head first. Yeah, this one shouldn't be either until we finish. So it should be the. Now I did have one student that had some questions about those head first assignments, but that was in module 1 that we did those. So I think that may have been an online student. Okay, anything else that there's an error there?
Yeah, I'm having issues in MindTap with validating user input in Python.
Okay, well, we'll do that. And let's see, is that one part of this loop, part of module 4?
Well, no, I don't actually have a problem doing the work. It's just not allowing me to complete it in MindTap.
Right. I talked about that in a couple of the classes. It doesn't give you the submit button.
Right.
Okay, and so what you do is if you look at, or when you click on this link, validate user input, is it actually gives you a way to submit a file. See a file upload. So what you do is screenshot it just to show me that you did it and post it here.
Okay.
That's a problem in MindTap. It's been that way for several semesters. I keep telling them, but they haven't fixed it yet. So.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Okay. Anybody else have questions? Okay, I'm trying to remember if I went over any of these others. I believe that we did do part of this chapter we just did the other night, but I did not do the part with Sentinel loop, I believe. Let me see here. So let's go here. So looping, let me go into here and see how far. Oh, I didn't do share screen. You guys didn't tell me, so you're not seeing what I'm seeing. Okay, share. Okay, so, oh, my screen is really big. Y'all can see, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So on here, let me get back where I'm supposed to be. Okay. So we did, I I guess we got to nested loops, must be where I stopped, because that's where it's showing me. Let me make sure. Because we talked about some of these, but let's see. Yeah, we talked about a definite loop. Did we go over an indefinite loop? Is one with a sentinel value? Some of you were in here last time and some were not. I believe we did. Okay, so, but let's just kind of review this part. Understanding the loop in a program's mainline logic. So the reason this chapter is so important is that we cannot do arrays, the next chapter, unless you for sure understand loops. But some of the problems, like this payroll problem, are ones that you use a loop, but you really don't use it in the same manner in this type of a program, because this one, every time in the book, that in the Cengage book, that it talks about loops, we have an outer loop and an inner loop. And the outer loop should always be the same. The outer loop should always contain some declarations, then a module or a function that's called housekeeping. And then this is the decision on the loop that determines, do I still have more records that I want to process, or do I have more input that I want to process? And then this detail loop is the processing for every record. And so I go ahead and at the bottom of it, I have to alter the control variable, which in this particular program, which one is the control variable? What controls my loop? Determines if I keep going. Anybody tell me?
What's the name?
Okay, name is my control variable. So it's going to tell me whether I want to keep, whether I have any more records. As soon as the user isn't going to input any more records, then I would enter quit and I would end the job. And sometimes end of job has nothing but output in line, but it's just a separate, if it has, sometimes you have a report that may have totals and things that you would do in the end of job. And then I stop. So from now on, every program that you code, you should have these steps: declarations, housekeeping routine. It's just that what is in these particular functions will change depending upon the particular problem. So this is called the outer loop. But inside, the outer loop. But inside the detail loop, there could be another loop in here, but there's not in this particular problem. So using a loop control variable to make a while loop execute correctly, a loop control variable must be set to 0 before entering the loop. True or false? You know?
True.
True. A loop control, no. Okay, the reason being that most of the time you would set it to 0, but you can set a control variable to 1 or to 5 or whatever. It doesn't have to be 0, but most of the time you're going to set it to 0. That makes more sense. But you know, in this case, name was our control variable, so it wasn't set to 0. So to make a while loop execute correctly, a loop control variable should be tested before entering the loop body. That should be true, right? To make a while loop execute correctly, the body of the loop must take some action that alters the value of the loop control variable. So in this one, what had to happen is that it had to ask for name again. That's how it altered the control variable. Sometimes you add 1 to it, depending upon what it is. But those are the 3 steps. You have to initialize a control variable, you have to test the control variable, and you have to alter it. That has to be done on every loop. So nested loops, that means there's two loops. There's an outer loop and an inner loop. You need to create nested loops when the values of two or more variables repeat to produce every combination of values. So let's look at, we looked at this. Did we look at the program that did this? I remember I found it, the quiz.
Yes.
Okay, so we did do nested loops. This was the one with nested loops. So did anybody have any questions when they went over this or when I covered this one? Because this is actually still has the outer loop. You notice, like I said, it has the declarations, housekeeping, test of the loop, and then in our detail loop, we're going to alter the counter. Where did it go? I mean, alter the control variable, which is right here, input quiz name. So that's what's going to tell us if we have any more quizzes to print out. So this part, you notice if you understand this, either in flowchart or in pseudocode, this part is always in every program. You have declarations, but they may change depending on the problem. What's in housekeeping may change, but your while loop, that's the test of the loop, that's the body of the loop, and then here's our end of job. Now, in Python, where do your functions have to go in a Python program? Can they go down here like they are in the pseudocode?
They have to be on the top.
Correct. Because in Python, it would come here to housekeeping and say, I don't know where it is. It has to be before. It's going to look at the top for a function named housekeeping. So 5 named constants are declared up there. 3 of these constants, quit, parts, and questions, hold the sentinel values. Now, do you remember what I told you sentinel means? What does sentinel mean? Anybody remember? Sentinel means end. It signals the end. And so it's saying this one, question counter, signals the end of this loop, which is an inner loop to this loop. Part counter signals the end of this loop. So there's a nested loop inside my detail for this quiz problem. That's just those questions about nested loops. Okay, these are common loop mistakes. Failing to initialize the loop control variable. And whether you initialize it with 0 or with a valid name, there has to be something in it before you test it. And that's what this is talking about. Neglecting to alter the loop control variable. And that's done in the detail. Using the wrong type of comparison when testing the loop control variable. Okay, so if it's a 0 that you're testing for, then you're, you have to use numeric variable. If it's name that you're testing for, then you want to use a variable that is a string. Now, whenever we're testing to see if it's the same as or equal to, what operator do we have to use in Python? We can't just use one equal sign. What do we have to do?
Put it in parentheses?
Well, it is in parentheses, but remember whenever, let me see if I can find a note here that I can use. Okay, file. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Okay, just a second. Let me get this over here where I can use it where you can see it. Okay, so when I'm testing, if I wanted to say is name equal to quit, does that work?
You need to have 2 equals.
Very good. So when you're doing a comparison, be sure that if it's the same as you're trying to test for, that you use 2 equal signs. Otherwise, it thinks you're just trying to assign the value quit to name. Because remember, 1 equal sign is a assignment operator. And so then the last thing is including statements inside the loop body that belong outside the loop. Sometimes that's what happens too when you do a loop is, and we had one that I showed the difference of last time. Okay, and then it just gives you some examples of those mistakes. So I think you can read through that. If you have any questions. Okay, now this is the loop that we didn't talk about last time, a for loop. Every high-level programming language contains a while statement that you can use to code any loop, including both indefinite and definite loops. So with a while loop, you can have a counter-controlled while loop, which means it's a definite number of times that it's going to go through the loop. If it's a sentinel value where you're waiting for a certain value to be input, then that's called an indefinite loop. And normally, most computer languages support a for statement. You usually use the for statement or for loop with definite loops. So even though with a counter control loop, you can use a while loop, it really makes more sense to use a for loop. But the same, and I did go over some of this, I think, because I remember seeing this and telling y'all about it. So this is the same statement, and yeah, I remember going over this, as this one. And there is how you would do it using C++ and C#. The 3 actions, initializing, evaluating, and altering the loop, are separated by semicolons within a set of parentheses. And that's basically how you do the for loop also in Python. Now there is a loop called do until, or do while, but we don't really have that kind of loop in Python. It's called a post-test loop because the test is at the bottom of the loop. So you execute the body of the loop before you actually test it in a do while. Okay, it's talking about a structured loop here. Tells you how not to do. This would be structured because the test is happening right after it finishes the detail. So that's why that one's called structured. Okay, this is going to show us common loop applications. Okay, this one you actually do have a MindTap program to do using a loop to accumulate totals. So this is where you'll notice that our template for the mainline logic is the same. We have declarations. Instead of housekeeping, it just says get ready. You can actually call that function anything you want. Then here's the test of the loop. Here's the body of the loop. And in the body of the loop, you'll notice at the bottom is where we alter the control variable. We add, or we ask for more input. And then it goes back up. If it still has an address in it, it's going to keep doing this and then finish up, output the total price. So that's an accumulated totals program. And here's another one that they're doing with a loop. Okay, this is the one with the user validate data that I forget who one of y'all asked about, and anyway, you didn't have any trouble. Did anybody have any trouble with the validate data? What it's saying is it's checking to see if the user input the right kind of data for what it's asking. Okay. Okay, let's see. Let me see if there's anything else in here that I need to go over. because we're gonna work some. Okay, the ones of you all that are in here, is there a certain MindTap problem that maybe you had trouble with? Or I know if one of you said that you've already done the validate data, then you're probably I think that's the last one, isn't it? Let me see here. Let me exit that. Okay, so here was a counter controlled loop, which would be a definite while loop. This one is going to be an indefinite while loop. Here's the for loop. Did anybody do the for loop yet? Or anybody have trouble with these? No?
That's unit 5?
Yes.
No, I didn't have any trouble.
So you did all of them. Who's that?
Jesse?
Jesse, okay. Anybody else finish all these? Or want me to do one of them? Okay, if you guys aren't having any trouble with those, that's really great, because loops are the thing that people usually have the most problem with. Go back here. So let's see, let's see if there's anything else in here then. I also gave you all of those in here. We talked about that last time. And this one was one that isn't due till next Monday. So all of this is due next, this one is one probably, okay. This one that's due next Monday, this is the one that I want to go over because this is project 3, which will be like test number 3, okay? So let's look at this. Has anyone finished this one? No? Okay, so this one just before test number 3, which next week, when everything's due on the 20th, I will cover this project 3 next Monday, whenever we have a Zoom. And then we will have the test on next Wednesday, which would be what, the 22nd, 23rd, something like that. So or anytime that week, it'll probably be Tuesday and Wednesday. I usually do it on Wednesday because that's what our lecture class used to be. So let's look. Follow the instructions and submit the Python script, nested loop, your initials, and the PDF if you choose flowchart or pseudocode. Also, I need to add to these instructions, I always want you to do the screenshot of your answer in PyCharm. So this one is called homework nested loop function. Let me not download it again. Let's see, I need to make sure that I give you the same one. This is a different name. Oh, this must be it. Yeah, there it is. Okay, Okay, the RSC bookstore is having a 3-day sale during which the price of any unsold t-shirt drops 15% each day. For example, t-shirt that costs $15 on the first day costs 15% less, or $12.75 on the second day. On the third day, the same item is 15% less than $12.75, or $10.84. Design a Python script that will input 5 different t-shirt prices. Output is the original price of each item the first day, discounted on day 2, and discounted on day 3. Then you would print the original price and the price on the second and third day. And then I give you the logic behind it. Here's what you would do. Ask the user to input the price. Use a loop to request each input. This will be the outer loop. And then, so your control variable is going to be price, right? And this will be the outer loop. Use a while loop. Ask the user to enter 999 to end. So then you'll use a nested loop, for loop, to print the 3 prices for each discount for each t-shirt price for the user inputs. It actually won't be, well, yeah, it'll be nested in the detail portion. See the attached image of the output results when the user enters the prices below. Use a function. Depending upon which part you put in the function will determine whether you need to pass the input into the function. Sorry. You remember when we went over functions last time and then I didn't go ahead and test you over them. I went over how you would pass a value from the main logic depending upon if it was used in the function or not. So I want you to use these 5 t-shirt prices. And, and then I have also listed there the loop output. Oh, wait a minute. Should have been already in there. Nested. Yeah, this is it. Okay, I think. Oh no, that's the turtle thing. Nested loop output.tiff. Okay, where did this go? Oh, it is in there. I guess somewhere. HW. Oh, it may be in here. Nope. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I can find it. That's the output PNG. Well, it said it was in here, but I don't see it. I need to see what the output looks like. So I guess I'm going to have to download it because I don't see it. Homework. Said it was there. It must be thinking. Okay, let me pull it over. So this is what your output should look like. You'll notice that on this problem at the bottom, there are your prices. So it says original t-shirt price, $15. Day 2 is $12.75. Day 3 is $10.84. Then there's the $17.25 that you enter. There's the other 2 prices, so you can see each one, and that's what should print out. So if you don't have these in the right, I mean, you don't say original t-shirt price, but this is the most common way to do it. So this will be in a for loop that goes through 3 times, right? Or two times, because you already have the original price. Then you've got to calculate the second and third day prices. So this particular problem, you're going to use a function you actually can use 3 functions, because if you start like what I told you in mind, what this was, oops, those that we were looking at, past it. They had declarations, and then they had like a getting started section. That's the outer loop, which your outer loop is going to be controlled by if there's any more prices in there. But in this particular problem, I tell you to read in 5. So what some people end up doing is they make it a definite loop where it just tests for the 5th value. But that's not what I ask. If you look here, I'm just giving you those values so that you can see that your output is correct. But you'll notice that it has you, the last value you put in is all 9s. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it enters all 9s, has you enter all 9s, because up here, I said that was going to signal that you're at the end of the outer loop, right? So that's what's going to be in price the 6th time. So the outer loop is a sentinel loop that is controlled by where it'll say if price is equal to all 9s, then you would drop out and do the end of job, right? So does anybody have any questions about this? Any questions? Okay, so this is what you need to be able to have done. Sorry, my dog is whining. This one is the one that you'll need to have done by next Monday, because then I can go over it in a Zoom meeting, but that way you can correct it. But you need to post something. You need to post something before we have it in class, because I want to see how much you are able to do. And then if you don't quite get it working, well, when I go over it, you'll be able to correct it and post it up. So anybody have any questions? You guys get it, huh? That's great. How's everybody doing? Everybody doing with this virus thing? Nobody's got it, right?
Not me.
All right. I'm ready for
Knock on wood.
You've what?
Knock on wood.
Oh,
Not yet.
oh, we don't need it. We're ready to go on with our life, right? Okay. Yeah, and in Oklahoma, we're doing pretty good. We're one of 8 states that only has stay at home instead of shelter in place. A friend of mine, her family has shelter in place in North Carolina, and they have to prove when they leave their house that they're going to the grocery store.
Wow.
There's cops out there. I know, that's pretty hard, isn't it? Okay, so if you guys are okay, then just go ahead and post up your the assignments, and once you get all those done for the 20th, I'll put this time out there again for next Monday. Is this a pretty good well, y'all rather do in the mornings? I didn't do morning because I had doctor appointments this week, so let me go. Okay, so I'll post out again what time we're going to meet to go over project 3, because then, and I'll post the time of the test, but it'll either be, I'll give an evening time and a daytime. I'll give probably 2 times on Wednesday that I'll offer it. Getting close. Only one more chapter after this. Ooh. One more test.
I do have one question before we go. The payroll or quiz sheet that's due the 20th, did you touch on that? I don't have anything on that.
What do you mean you don't have it?
It just says that we'll discuss it in class.
Oh, it doesn't give you, okay. What we did last time I talked about it, because that's that one that I just showed you, where there's a payroll inside. Okay, let me go back to Cengage here. Okay, inside the chapter, let me go back where it is. There's both of those problems in there in pseudocode and flowchart. And so what you have to do is decide which one of those 2. You don't have to do both of them, that you put in Python. Okay, so like, let me see, where was the quiz sheet? Was under nested loops, wasn't it? I think. The payroll one was right before this. And so what it's saying is, look at this pseudocode and flowchart and put it into Python code.
Okay.
Using functions. See, that's why this one, it will help you also with the test. Payroll is a little bit easier if you rather do it. It doesn't have a nested loop. And I think that I also have videos out there. Let me look at YouTube. I thought I put the YouTube videos out there for this one. Let me make sure that I did. I think they're on that YouTube channel. Oops, let's see here. Okay. Yeah, let's see. This one is the one that I just did the other night. Oh no, that was fall 19, unit 5. Unit 5. Okay, let me see if it was down here. That was project 2. There's where I covered functions too, if you have any problems with it. Okay, I will look back and make sure that I don't have where I covered those. I think I do. Let me see if they're in, it might be in fall 19 and I didn't move them over here yet. Just a second. I thought I had them posted even as payroll and fall 19. Those are the 2 that I did post. Okay, it might be in one of these that I've actually, we didn't do this, did we? Because I told y'all that was optional, is what I told you on that turtles one. That's if you want more practice. All 19. Okay, let me see if this one, I'm pretty sure that it even goes over the answer in this. Let's see where they go. Let me see if it would be, one of them might be.
Isn't working this morning, but I did get.
See if I can go where I covered that.
If we were going to
Oh no, that's
print
just talking about mainline logic. Yeah, this is what I covered again. Okay, let's see.
open. Anybody having any trouble with PyCharm? Everybody's okay with it on your.
Okay,
I
so
have one
this
student that's
one.
having trouble. So we're going to create a new Python file.
Yeah, let's see what this one is. This the payroll?
Okay, so we're going to go back and
I think this may be the payroll one.
so we have to have one constant.
Yeah, okay, so in that, yeah, that's the payroll program there. So if you want to see the payroll program done in Python, I did it in that lecture right there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right. The other one is
After I get done with detail loop.
The other one is probably, the quiz one is probably in that next video, because I know I include it if it's not in this one. So if you want to see how to do nested loops too, that one will tell you. So, all right. Anything else? All right. Are any of you guys graduating this semester? No?
No.
Okay. I know some of my multimedia students are. All right. Well, you guys just let me know through email if you have any other questions, and I will post this video up, and I will see you guys next Monday if I don't hear from you.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Professor Wilson,
Yes.
when is the Photoshop class Zoom meeting?